Welcome. This is the Late Late Show with BT, reviews with security and law are being provided to you, the public. This is a continuation of a show we kind of ended. We did have time. We do have time to see how far we get with the Out magazine, and we're just gonna see where we go and how many we can do from here. And we're going to start with December 2017, January 2018. Breathtaking. A lot of that has been the inspiration for Native Son because it's about creating our own platform so we can see each other, we can speak to each other, but we can also talk about the cultural nuances that are relevant to us, he says. When I created Native Son, I had to dare greatly to believe that I could inspire and empower these men and that I could make a difference by doing that. I learned when I was an editor in chief that my days were so busy that I didn't have time to think about what I was going to wear. So I created my wardrobe to be foolproof: black, white, navy blue, a little charcoal, a little khaki, and I try to give pops of color. I don't believe in rules around fashion. They exist to be broken. As an editor and activist, one of my inspirations is Gordon Parks, a train porter who picked up an issue of a magazine that was left behind by one of his passengers and started to do photography as a result. He was the first Black photographer to shoot for Vogue and went on to be a very powerful writer and filmmaker. The original light beer, dressed up for the holidays. Barbara, the music, the memories, the magic. The British sci-fi hero on Accidental Stardom and the Secrets of the Universe by John Russell. The 37-year-old British actor is in town for Comic-Con, where he's been promoting BBC America's Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, loosely based on the books by novelist Douglas Adams, best known for the sci-fi phenomenon The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Growing up in a small fishing village in the north of England, Barnett never expected to be able to carve out a career as an actor. It wasn't until he landed the role of Posner in the original London cast of the History Boys and the show transferred to Broadway that Barnett realized he could really pursue performing. While playing female characters in 2014 Broadway productions of Richard III and Twelfth Night, which earned him a Tony nom, Barnett confessed to the New York Times profile that he'd worried that being out might hurt his chances at greater success. Barnett has played straight more than he has gay, though he thinks his gay parts have gotten more attention because they're simply less common. He wants to be loved and he wants friends. Brandon Presser, uncovering the cinematic beauty of the Caribbean's sweetest escape. The palm-studded sandbars at Tobago Cays are ingrained in our collective consciousness as Rum Runner's Isle, the ultimate castaway locale where Jack Sparrow is left stranded by Captain Barbossa. Today, small sailboats, and catamarans carry small groups of passengers to swim with sea turtles in the crystal clear waters and picnic under the shade of the coconut fronds. Only a 25-minute boat ride farther south near the border of Grenada, Petite St. Vincent, is the ideal home base for a survey of the area. A purposeful lack of Wi-Fi, telephones, and TV. Oh, scratch that. Instead, guests use a system of flags to hail their daily desires, meals, extra towels, or a borrowed book to read on the private patio. Everything on Petite St. Vincent's works in tandem to fulfill, quite literally, your Caribbean fantasy from the movies. The emerald waters teeming with fish, the views of the bright casitas on Petite Martinique across the Channel, the smell of barbecue lobster wafting through the air, and even the occasional turtles tottering past your toes as you take in the glittering sunset. Brandon Presser. How to be a quad so thick even the light of day won't slip through them. Daniel Handler wants to be your forever boy. The boy in the crowd. Jonathan Groff. The first time Jonathan Groff found himself auditioning for David Fincher was for the role of Napster co-founder Sean Parker in The Social Network, a part that eventually went to Justin Timberlake. But Groff never forgot the experience. The 10-episode Netflix thriller, already recommissioned for a second season, is a meticulous study of how the FBI responded to a wave of serial killers in the 1970s by refining the methods used to profile suspects like Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy. It helps that Netflix made the entire first season of Mindhunter available at once, a tactic that Groff feels would have benefited Looking, which was canceled after 2 seasons. Looking was a huge deal in my evolution as a person and as an actor because it's one thing to come out of the closet publicly, but it's another thing to be so gay on TV, he says, acknowledging that he was nervous of being typecast. We're definitely benefiting a lot from the history and struggle of those who came before us. Jonathan Groff. The bathroom bill has turned into a battleground, but trans people didn't start that battle. It wasn't an issue until it was turned into one, and it's a way to undermine our ability to even exist. The cast and director of Saturday Church to include Damon Cardasis. Interspersed with musical numbers and romantic yearning, it is equal parts Beautiful Thing, Glee, and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Your found family is just as valid as your family, says Sappy from the right of the film's message. With all the xenophobia, homophobia, sexism, and racism going on in this world, it is more important than ever to shine a light on minorities of all races, genders, and sexual orientations and show the incredible gifts we bring to this world, such basis. And I'm gonna stop because I don't know what xenophobia is. And I'm gonna look it up like right now. Xenophobia evidently is the intense or irrational dislike or fear of people from other countries. Bill T. Jones, choreographer. Queer life at its best represents individual freedom and social beauty, says Bill T. Jones. John Hanning. John Hanning's images are impossible to miss. Rainbow bright photos of toe-headed boys with the words "I survived AIDS" stamped beneath them. That's what happened to Hanning, who came back from the brink of death in the mid-90s and today makes art in Bushwick. John Hanning. John Waters, filmmaker, author. It proved once and for all for the entire world to see that he's the biggest asshole in the universe, Waters says. The album Alley Dancers to include Michael Francis McBride and Jermaine Terry. With the new 10,000 square foot wing at the Joan Wells Center for Dance, new productions by Twilla Tharp, Joel Willa, Joe Solar, and Tally B, and a 21-city North American tour kicking off in January. The dancers in Ailey's theater are sharing his tenacious spirit with new generations, as well as experiencing their own milestones. That shouldn't have to be asked for. It should just be a part of being human. The album Ailey Dancers. Are trans veterans to include Kimberly Moore and Donna Price. As dark as the days may seem, Brent Tanhill says, the more of us there are, the harder it becomes to silence us. Indeed, given the elevation of trans issues into the national dialogue, an unprecedented shift from even 5 years ago, these troubling setbacks may be temporary. The Torch Song Trio to include Michael Urie. If feels like it was written tomorrow, says Micah Europe Torch Song. This fall's New York revival of Harvey Fierstein's Watershed 1979 and 82 play cycle, which had trilogy in the title back then. Directed by Moises Kaufman from an edited script by Firestein, the show stars Darius Arnold, a love-lorn drag queen who longs to be a husband and father. But what does it mean to be a committed couple in the context of that ideal? We all grew up in the same home, some with wonderful examples of marriage, some with a terrible home life. Robert Tagliapietra, fashion designers. Their brand, JCRT, offered a plaid shirt for which all proceeds went to trans-focused organizations. In 2018, the pair planned to expand on the ways in which they give back to the broader queer community. We have to be vigilant for those who may not have the same voice and privilege we do. Chris McCarthy, president of MTV. If there were ever a way to bring back our emotional connection to MTV, it's through Total Request Live. Angela Robinson, filmmaker. After the boatload success of Patty Jenkins' summer blockbuster Wonder Woman is riding high in her invisible plane, as interest in her has reached a peak not seen since Linda Carter's heyday. Angela Robinson. John Grauweiler and Kevin Herzog, activists gays against guns. That's how much time passed between the Pulse nightclub tragedy and the Las Vegas massacre. Jeremy Peters, journalist. As a politics reporter, MSNBC analyst, he provides sharp, informed context to news that seems to break by the millisecond. Behind the scenes of our massive tribute to the year's queer heroes. And going back to a dog tag by Beat in the Moment that goes for $34.50 at NewYorkMakers.com. For some reason, I always like dog tags. So we're gonna go into February. And if you're going to go bright, why not opt for the biggest shades of all? But these days, when it comes to taking risks below the knee, it's all about pink. And delicious bright bubblegum, they're guaranteed to make any look pop. How about some Le Labo Central 33 body oil? Brandon Presser. Fort Point is sprawled across old parchment maps of colonial Boston, but the spit of land poking east from the city's central core has been renamed the Seaport, a sprawling canvas that's become one of its coolest neighborhoods. The best part, however, is the homemade pretzels boiled in beer and served with an array of dipping sauces in the main hall. Wonder what that is. Everyone goes for the bolognese, but the black garlic pappardelle, which with braised veal and juicy black trumpets, is killer. Oh, I gotta be there. An industrial outpost from the same team behind the locally acclaimed oyster bar Allen Creek, that is. This seaport standout packs to the exposed rafters with its after-work crowd. A welcome breather from all the small plates and farm-to-table jargon, Oak Plus Rowan puts the finest ingredients for it on its short list of dishes. A brass-top bar cart rolls from table to table as a nomadic barkeep swirls together drinks, and while the mains feel decidedly mid-market, the desserts from executive pastry chef Brian Mercury are worthy of a Michelin nod. Only amateurs ask for a menu. Locals know how to drop their orders off with a bartender. Wonder what that is. I'm getting me a. But over the past few years, background and Hawaiian upbringing have begun to find their place in cuisine as well. Try Outlook's beef tartare with a generous amount of togarashi, and sesame, or sesame, potato. Bring the calf building power of strutting and Louboutins into the gym. The breakfast sandwich boom. How chefs are the daily updating the beloved daily classic. Is anything better than biting bleary-eyed and hungover into a bacon, egg, and cheese on a Saturday morning? Restaurants across the country have started putting new focus on the breakfast sandwich, transforming an already perfect classic into something sublime. Similarly, Danny Meyer's New York Cafe Daily Provisions offers a classic sounding bacon, egg, and cheese called the Beck, but its Portuguese style roll is made from scratch on site, and its thick cut pig belly is enough to make you forget your corner joint's blackened bacon strips. The Berkshire variety provides a kick of salt, smoky sweetness, and clove spice flavors, accentuating the Beck's brave ability. And if you're starting your day off in San Francisco, don't pass on a breakfast sandwich at Tartine Manufactory, where co-executive chefs Bill Niles and Krista Chase combine fatty chunks of porchetta in an unexpected drizzle of herbaceous salsa verde with a fried egg on a cushiony bun. Jeffrey Urquhart. Sam Landscape. Now they were celebrating Philip's 45th birthday. I debated whether to go or not, but my curiosity got the best of me. I bopped awkwardly along to the music until I found the beat, and suddenly it felt like the song was inside me, shifting my hips, and I was dancing like everyone else. Sandwiched between the two of them, feeling their way, I was temporarily free from my self consciousness. Until finally at 3 a.m., I followed them back to their hotel room. Lying between them in that familiar daze, I could see the sun coming up over the mountains. I hadn't been up for a sunrise in years, and seeing it reminded me of dry mouth tweaker nights that bled into twitchy amber mornings back when I was young enough to get away with it. The unpleasant sting of reality coming back to me. I had thought too, on the off chance things went well with them. The first African American Rhodes Scholar, Alan Locke, is credited as the father of the Harlem Renaissance, but while he mentored some of its greatest minds, he longed for one of its brightest lights, Langston Hughes. Back to black. Cameron Esposito, actor, comedian. I had not seen that before from a first time comic. I had a lot of connection and respect for my peers, but there was no one who fully understood what I was trying to do and what my experience was. She says what she means and knows herself and is also always trying to know herself better. That kind of person is very rare. So when she says she had relations with Brad Pitt's mom, she had relations with Brad Pitt's mom. Get over it. Terry Torrington, co-creator of Slay.tv. I'm not the type to do things now. I'm not the type to do things in theaters. That was never my thing. But it was super romantic, and I remember his lips felt like the softest place on earth. Love at first sight is very, very loosely based on our relationship, but with it, we're trying to change the conversation around Black queer love, especially when it comes to the media. Love at first night is just one of many stories within our community that should be told. Perhaps the best kind of all. Chris Habana, jewelry designer. With all the guys before him, there was always a sense of drama. The guys I was picking ranged from being a little bitchy to big ass hoes. I don't know if this is an age thing, but when people start dating, they are often prone to picking people that are mean to them or they look for some sort of friction because they think that aggression equals fire, which means passion. A new generation of young queens is proving it's never too soon to be fabulous. The first day back to school after DragCon, I wore a pair of spiky heels and everyone was supportive of it. Once the teenage cosmetics entrepreneur discovered makeup, there is no turning back. Ricky Martin. To love him, responds D'Amico, still covered in the blood of his boyfriend of 15 years, though he seems more wounded by the detective's callous assertion. The idea that two men could ever be in a committed relationship is completely foreign to him. I believe that the story of injustice this series will bring to the table will spark a lot of conversations about things that we, as the LGBTQ community, were dealing with in the 90s and that we're still dealing with, says Martin, though he shies away from revealing too many details about the assassination. At this point in our lives, there shouldn't be stigmas over the things that we are going to be talking about. The show, another jewel in a showrunner and creator television crown, will examine the lives of two gay men in their radically different paths. Gianni Versace, the Italian designer who injected the world of fashion with a wild dose of ostentation, sensuality, and celebrity glamour, and Andre Cunanan, the 27-year-old Versace fanboy who left a trail of death and devastation in his quest for fame, ultimately finding it and landing on the FBI's 10 most wanted list by murdering the man he so idolized. By the time gunned down the 50-year-old designer on the steps of his palatial estate, Casa Casuarina at 1116 Ocean Drive in South Beach, Miami, on the morning of July 15, 1997, he had already killed four men, including a 28-year-old Navy veteran and David Matson, a 33-year-old architect, 3 months earlier in Minneapolis. Both men were gay, and at least one of them, Matson, was a former lover. But the nation didn't take any real notice until it had traversed thousands of miles over several months. By then, Versace was dead. Obviously, what was happening in fashion was massive, but there was also what was happening in the film industry with all these great actors moving to Miami because of the Riviera of the United States. It has taken many, many, many years for Miami to return to where it was, and maybe it will never be the same. On July 7th, 8 days before Versace's murder, he visited the Cash from the Beach pawn shop to sell a gold coin he had stolen from his third victim, a 72-year-old married real estate developer he had killed and tortured on May 4th in Chicago, which eventually led the FBI to adding to his infamous fugitives list. As required by the pawn shop, the serial killer had signed his name, his real name, and had even given the address where he was staying. The owner of Cash on the Beach turned over the identifying paperwork to Miami police the following day, and no action was taken. For a number of reasons, the authorities at the time never considered to be a public threat because he was only killing homosexuals, says the Venezuelan actor whose startling resemblance to the late designer helped secure him the title role in ACS. Versace was enamored by the house's kneeling Aphrodite statue and bought the property for $2.95 million and the old Art Deco Hotel Riviera next door for $3.7 million, which he promptly demolished, angering the Miami Design Preservation League. The neighborhood had been on the National Register of Historic Places since 1979. There's something very classic about this real life story that was captured by Tom. The characters, the archetypes, their relationships. But it was a 1999 Grammy performance of The Cup of Life, the official song of the previous year's World Cup, and the subsequent release of his U.S. breakthrough single, Livin' La Vida Loca, that skyrocketed him to superstardom, ushered in the so-called Latin explosion. For Martin, consequently, that assassination of Gianni Versace offered a unique and personal challenge because, to paraphrase executive producer Brad Simpson, it's about the politics being out in the 90s. By taking on the role of Antonio D'Amico, the singer actor had to conjure those years of hiding who he was. But in doing so, he knew he was paying tribute to the love that Versace and D'Amico shared. I went straight into the moment where I found the body on the steps of the villa outside. I was locked in this room for many hours just to be there in the moment when I looked out the window and saw Edgar's feet. After seeing production shots of Martin cradling a bloody Ramirez, D'Amico derided the tableau as ridiculous and a product of the director's poetic license. One, Gianni was very devoted to both of them. Ricky and I wanted to be respectful of their relationship and open about how supportive they were of each other. There is, however, no love lost between D'Amico and Donatella Versace. Family was of the utmost importance to Johnny Versace, but his own didn't want to be involved in the show's production. What is a historical or cultural moment for the rest of the world is a story of intense personal tragedy for the family and former partner of Gianni Versace. So a production of this scale and caliber, this isn't, after all, the Gina Gershon Lifetime movie, House of Versace, is bound to reopen old wounds and draw renewed scrutiny. While LGBTQ people have more rights and freedoms than in any other time in U.S. history, the rapid progress of marginalized communities over the previous years has revealed the cracks in this country. Ugly truths barely hidden just below the surface have been exposed. This America bets white supremacists, boasters an accused pedophile who believes homosexuality should be illegal and neglects the victims of a mishandled natural disaster because they're not quite American enough. We've been taking 4 airplanes with 150,000 pounds worth of basic necessities, Martin says of the relief effort of Puerto Rico, of which he's been a part. My family is there, and luckily I can bring them out to take a break. But there's a very intense passion about where we come from, and they don't want to leave. I want to be very respectful about this because I am not American, begins cautiously. You really don't have anything better to do. Sleep, those little slices of death, how I loathe them, wrote Edgar Allan Poe, who was no fan of bedtime. Troy Dreyer. Whatever the reason, getting too little sleep is a problem, not just because it makes you a chore to be around. Turn your phone off an hour before bedtime and absolutely never check messages in bed. But technology can also come to the rescue. Troy Dreyer. Never a man to do a thing by half measures. Gianni Versace turned his palatial villas into exemplars of Rome's former glory. Troy Dreyer. While there are plenty of sleep trackers on the market, many need to be clipped to your PJs or worn like a bracelet. They need to be charged. Here, the tracker is built inside the bed, and the mattress adjusts as each sleeper changes positions during the night. Troy Dreyer. The best alarm clock is internal, and whatever you do, kill the snooze button. It's jarring and downright wrong to be shocked awake every 5 minutes. A warm shower or hot bath can aid sleep, but give yourself an hour and a half before bed to feel the full benefit the body needs to be in cool down mode when you hit the sack. We're fans of Brook Linen's super soft twill cotton sheets. They breathe well. And that has been the Late Late Show with BT. We didn't get to marches, and I did have some chess. But maybe we'll do that next time. So, again, I'm going to close with our Vivian Marceline and Knox's lowdown on the Oscar showdown. Original screenplay, Get Out. Adapted screenplay, Mudbound. Visual effects, War for the Planet of the Apes, if we're going for personal, or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Sound mixing, Baby Driver. Sound editing, Baby Driver. Live action short film, Watu Wote / All of Us. Animated short film, Garden Party. Production design, Blade Runner 2049. Best picture, Call Me By Your Name. Original song, Remember Me, Coco. Original score, Phantom Thread in Star Wars The Last Jedi. Makeup and hairstyling, Wonder. Hi. I got you. Yeah. Foreign language film, The Insult. Film editing, Baby Driver. Documentary short subject, Traffic Stop. Documentary feature, Faces Places. Actor in a leading role, Timothée Chalamet, Call Me By Your Name. Actor in a supporting role, Richard Jenkins, The Shape of Water. Actress in a leading role, Margot Robbie, I, Tonya. Actress in a supporting role, Mary J. Blige, Mudbound. Animated feature film, The Boss Baby. Cinematography, Blade Runner 2049. Costume design, Beauty and the Beast. Directing, tie with Get Out and Dunkirk. And that has been our Vivian Marceline and Knox's Lowdown, the Oscar Showdown, and the Late Late Show with BT continued version for this day. And again, yes, the rumor is correct. And you can view it again. The L Word, playing me is as Nikki, Kate French, and playing Jane Hillhouse in those couple of scenes as Jenny, Mia Kirshner. Bye.